It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Shorman, and this is a special edition of the Forum program here on Eagle Community Television. The Forum is brought to you by HaysMed. Our guest today is Kerry McCue, and he is the EMS Director for Ellis County, and he is also sitting in the brand new lobby of the brand new building at the EMS Center here in Hays. Kerry, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's fun to walk in, and we'll be showing you some pictures as we talk about some things. First off, tell me a little bit about the history of this building, because you started several years ago making this happen, making it turn into a facility that is not only very efficient, but it's something that really helps the residents of Ellis County.
Well, we actually started back in '96 trying to expand. When we started at 1009 Cody, we had 9 people. We now have 45. So you can see we very quickly outgrew that facility that we were in about 25 years. We looked at several options. A lot of them revolved around this property because the county owned it. It was a cooperative thing between the state of Kansas and Ellis County. And as you know, they sold the front part of this lot to Commerce Bank, which they've already built a building there. But we looked at the KDOT building. If you remember, the KDOT building was there, and remodeling and refurbishing that.
It was an older building.
It was an older building,
but it would have taken a lot of work, right?
It would have taken a lot of work. We had to add to it. We had to refurbish, and it was decided that that building would have been more expensive than to move forward with this building. It would have caused more problems. And there were 2 or 3 options with that. There were options that looked at putting the health department here with us. And over the years, there were several options, but this is what we centered on finally in about 2011, 2012, and here we are.
Well, it's fun when you walk in the door. One, the building looks very efficient from the standpoint you have concrete floors, but it's very efficient in the sense that you have in the way it's laid out. You did mention going from 9 people to 45 people. Talk about the different levels of care and really kind of the need for that kind of growth.
Okay. When we started, we were a basic life support service back in 1990, and one of our first goals was to move to the paramedic level, and we were fortunate enough to do that by the end of '92, I think it was. We moved to the paramedic level, so that allows us to provide advanced life support, and we have about 30 of our staff are paramedics. Currently, we have 8 people on 24 hours a day. We have 4 staffed here, staffing 2 ambulances here in Hays. We have 2 staffing an ambulance in Victoria and 2 staffing an ambulance in Ellis. When we first started in 1990, we had the Hays station, was all we had. In '93, we took over the Ellis volunteer service, put a station over there. In '98, we added a station in Victoria. So we expanded from the 4 people here to the 8 people across the county, and so now we cover all 900 square miles of Ellis County.
And you know what, you always talk about, why you need so much. But when it's your family that has a disaster and you need, or an emergency, you want somebody there as fast, because seconds, not only minutes, but seconds make a difference.
We have in that 900 square miles, we have an average response time of 4.5 minutes. And if you are involved in medicine, you know that strokes and cardiac instances, trauma, are all time sensitive. Time in those incidents with cardiac issues is muscle, and time with brain matter, as far as stroke issues, that's brain matter. So it's very important that we get there and we respond quickly, and we have an opportunity to intervene into that medical emergency or injury that someone has occurred.
I know we'll be in the back bay. We'll end the program in the back bay where the ambulances are, and really talk about that end of things. But let's take a quick tour through the building, Kerry, because when you walk in the front door, it's a nice, beautiful entrance. It's right off of 22nd Street, just east of Vine Street. And so you walk in, it's a nicely done facility, but it's not overdone.
Right.
And so you get to see that. You then end up in this area. which is the main area that splits off in a couple of directions. So if you go off to my left, what's located over there?
That's the rural fire area and emergency management.
And then behind us are the offices. And tell us about the offices. What's
behind us are our administrative offices, our office managers right here, and when you enter the building, she greets you. My office is behind us, the training supervisor's office is behind us in a small conference room.
And so when you look at those are basically what you saw, standard offices, but they're done well and allow for efficiency to manage the rest of the program.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we're very mindful that we spend our dollars, we spend tax dollars. Mm-hmm. And we're very mindful through the whole process that is what we're using. And so we have what we need to function. There's not a lot of frills in the building and not a lot of wants, but we have what we need to function in the building.
One of the areas I saw earlier, and it's right downstairs, and we'll have some video of this, but it's a training facility. And I know that has changed in the amount of training that you need, not only to use the tools that you have today, but the training just on medical emergencies, how you handle those, and there's some training going on right now.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the large improvements in the building. In the old building, we really didn't have room to do much training at all. And in fact, some of it was done at Hayes Medical Center and some of their classroom facilities. But in addition to that, it is a multi-purpose room. It's not only our training area, but it's also emergency management uses as a emergency operations center. The rural fire department uses it for some training, and then we use it for joint training amongst ourselves and other public safety entities in the community. So it is a big improvement over the last facility, and it is a multi-purpose facility.
I know if you go on back, and that training facility is in the basement, you go on back from behind us here, what else is back there before we get to, don't go to the ambulance bay because we're going to be back there. But you also have like a break area, you have another area for sleeping, and is that all new?
Well, we had those things in the old building. The crews are here 24 hours a day, so we provide them with sleeping areas, we provide them a living quarters, if you will. They have a place to cook, they have a place to sit down in the evenings and relax if they're not running calls, clean storage, which we didn't have in the other facility. We can store all of our medical equipment and all our supplies in a nice clean environment. In the building, in the old building, it was so small that it was right in the bay with all the diesel from the diesel vehicles. So it wasn't really the most ideal situation. We did as well as we could and kept it clean, but it's there. We have another room back there that we can use for cleaning up soiled equipment and things like that. So.
Yeah, that's one thing you don't think about. In fact, been around ambulances before, don't even think about restocking those, because when you do go on a call, a lot of different items are used. Having those in a good environment, coming back, cleaning up the ambulances, and is another part of that whole job. Now, is that part of the ambulance crew that does that, or do you have a special crew?
The crews are responsible to do that after they return from each call.
Talk about that a little bit. We joked on the way in if there was a fireman's pole where everybody goes shooting down in there. That's not the case here. You have the facilities where people are sleeping. What happens when the alarm goes off?
Well, we do have sleeping facilities if they get to use them. They're up a lot of times at night, probably more than people in our community know. Very rarely do they get to sleep a whole evening. And they are here 24 hours a day. You know, they start at 8 in the morning and they're here till 8 in the evening. So they're away from their families, and it gives them a place to relax and study by themselves and get away from each other. You know, when you're in a confined area for 24 hours with 4 other people, or 5, we have students right now, you need some time away. But to answer your question, when the pager goes off and dispatches a call to us, they go from wherever they are in the building, they proceed to the bay area or the apparatus room, and they respond. They get in, start the truck, the door goes up, and out they go.
That's one of the questions I wanted to ask her, how EMS has changed with technology. We'll talk about that when we go back to the bay. Thanks for giving us this tour, because this is fun. I know a lot of people only see the ambulance driving around the street, won't actually see how the work goes in to not only keep them clean, keeping them efficient, keeping them running and in good shape. And you're getting a chance to see that right here on the show. Kerry, can we go to back?
Sure.
Let's go do it.
All right.
Brandon, we'll be joining you in back just shortly.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, quality TV channels, all with the level of customer service you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications. Our community connected.
Hi, and welcome back to the second half of our forum here on Eagle Community Television. We have a great show going. We have a live tour going on of the new EMS facility here in Hayes, taking care of 900 square miles of Ellis County, we found out early on. And we're right now talking to Kerry McCue, who is the director of EMS in Ellis County. And he has not only given us a tour, but we have the ambulances you just saw in back. And it's fun to really take a look at when a project that's taken many years put together gets completed, and it turns out to be the type of quality that we would like to see here in Ellis County. In the background, we see the ambulances. Tell me about the ambulances, how many you have, where they go, where you find them, and a little bit of the background there.
Well, we have 7 ambulances total in our system, and we've purchased all those. We have 2 or 3 different manufacturers. We put out specs, requests for proposals, and we have a design that we try and keep everything as close as we can, because we have so many different fire department or law enforcement agencies in the county that a crew may send them to the truck to get something, so we try and keep everything as close together as we can, and that process is ongoing right now. We're getting ready to replace one of them that is not here, that normally sits right here. It's a 2003 model, normally a little over 10 years. That's about 175,000 miles on our vehicles. The one thing with our vehicles, you can't rely on mileage, because you have to really look at mileage and time on the vehicle, because they set at scenes and idle, or they set at standbys and idle. So we look at both mileage and time on them, but about 10 years, and they're pretty much done when we get done with them. So we trade them in, ship them off, and they bring us a new truck.
2 questions that come from that. They can't be cheap today. What does a new ambulance run when you go? I know you put it out for bids, but what's a round number?
Anywhere from 100, well, our trucks are about 180,000, right? And I think was the last one, 170 to 180,000 were the last ones we purchased. The last one we got is a Horton vehicle. It's actually sitting right behind us. Mm-hmm. And it's very much similar, just like I said earlier, to all the other 6. We rotate them so that we try and get the most usage out of them as we can. The first 6 months, or the first 30,000 miles, and I don't mean 6 months, but the first 30,000 miles, they stay here and they go down the highway. When Hayes Medical Center transfers a patient to tertiary facilities, whether that's Kansas City KU Med or one of the other facilities there, Wichita, Via Christi, Wesley, one of those facilities, or we have gone to Denver, Oklahoma City, Omaha, all over northwest Kansas to pick up patients and bring into their facility. So we do those kinds of things, and they spend the first 30,000 miles here. We rotated that here recently because we were using the trucks brand new here. We were finding out we were having some critical failures on the highway when we were doing those transfers. So we rotated that. Now the new trucks go down the highway to avoid some of those critical failures.
Well, that was one of the questions. I had 2 things. The second one, I'm sure there's stories of ambulances going down the road. And what made me think of this is your service chart that you have on the wall of keeping track of the service of each of these vehicles. But I'm sure there's stories of where the ambulance is either broken down on the way or broken down with a patient, and so making sure the service level is up is probably most important as well.
Well, to us, that's a critical failure, and we try to avoid that at all costs. We build things into the trucks that would allow the trucks to limp to the hospital if they have to. In other words, the module or the back of the truck, we can completely kill all of the electrical components back there and try and limp with just the factory chassis to the hospital if it's not a critical failure in the truck itself. We've had very few of those, and knock on wood, we have very few more.
Well, you hear in the background because we were out in the bay and they're actually talking back and forth. We just had an ambulance go out a little while ago. We saw it and we were just kind of chuckling. If something goes off, we may see some people running through here heading out the door. So
that's actually a crew that's completed their last assignment from an auto accident out by Hayes High. But back to the maintenance, we have a fairly aggressive maintenance program. We change oil regularly. We watch tires. Every year we do an annual inspection that we're required to do by the Board of EMS, and you know, we don't mess around with those things. If something needs to be repaired, it needs to be repaired so that we don't have a critical failure.
One of the things, we came into the break talking about technology. You mentioned the one that you're planning to trade off is a 2003. By my calculations, you know, that's about 12 years old. How has technology changed over the years? Now, you've been with EMS here how many years, Kerry?
26 years.
26 years. That's even a longer period as far as change, but how have you seen change happen with technology over the last few years?
Well, our cardiac monitors now are Bluetooth and wireless capable and Wi-Fi capable. You would have never seen that in the days when we started. The trucks have tablets in them as far as the components. What we used to flip light switches, now you push buttons on essentially a tablet on the console or in the back on the console to make the truck function. So technology has gone a long ways, and you know, over the Bluetooth we can send telemetry to the hospital. We can take pictures of the cardiac strips over Bluetooth and send that directly to the cardiologist.
Before we leave the program, I'm going to ask, you know, you look at this, you're going to say people, residents of Ellis County have to feel good that they're safe, they're secure, and they have a good EMS service. How do we compare to other counties and other parts of the state when you look at what we have here?
You know, we're very fortunate. The Commission has insisted that we provide quality levels of care since I got here in 1990. And that was one of their missions, was to provide a high level of care. We were recognized a few years ago as being the top ALS service, or advanced life support service, in the state. We have 45 dedicated paramedics and EMTs that provide outstanding care, and they are truly what is Ellis County EMS. You know, they are the ones that do what we do. I get them what they need and get out of their way because they take great care of patients.
I know no one wants to call emergency medical services to their home, to their location, to their business, but when they do, they want somebody that is highly trained and ready to go. So appreciate what you and your team do, Kerry, to make sure that happens here in Ellis County.
Thank you.
I know people out there may only see the ambulances. If they want to come down and take a tour, take a look at the new facility, can they do that, or what's the best way for them to make that happen?
Well, yes, to answer your question, we'd appreciate a phone call prior to them coming. If you do just show up, then don't be disappointed if there's nobody here and not able to do that. And then again, if it's after hours, don't be disappointed you won't get into the front door, because this is a secure facility. And so we just don't want people walking around in the facility. So the front doors are locked after hours.
And you have backup generator power and all of that, so this place is going to work no matter what, as far as bad, severe weather that we know happens in Ellis County as well.
That's the plan. It's on a backup generator, and we've tested it a couple times, but hopefully that works as it's designed.
Well, Kerry, thanks for being on our program. We're going to have an ambulance be backing right in this bay right behind us here shortly. Thanks for being on the program with us. Also want to thank the folks at HaysMed for their work, for being supportive of this program. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, or solutions, let us know. My name is Gary Shorman. You can find me at gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. Again, thanks for watching. Gary, thanks for being here. You've seen a great new facility here in Ellis County. Our program is brought to you by HaysMed and by Eagle Communications, our community connected.
HaysMed is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, HaysMed is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. HaysMed, helping people be healthy.